Hey fam, I hope you're doing fine. Welcome to yet another episode of the Evolve with Intent podcast. It's an honor that I don't take lightly that you take the time to listen to me out of the million podcasts that exist on the internet. The fact that you choose to, whether you're working, whether you're at work, whether you're spending the afternoon somewhere and you just decided to listen in, I don't take it for granted. It's people like you that make this podcast worthwhile. Now, just like many of you, I am such a good consumer of the internet. I like to consume people's content a lot of times and see what they're doing, what they're thinking, but also maybe sometimes to just look for inspiration. I happen to use Twitter a lot. Now, X. Yeah, I happen to scroll a lot, really. I like it because you think you're the only one who's thinking about something, and then somehow someone else is thinking the same thing, but they're even doing a better job articulating it than you are. So I happen to be like on a different side of the X platform. So my feed is sort of like tailored to things I'm interested in, which I think is really, really cool. And now recently there is a thread that's gone viral. That was posted I think 24 hours ago that goes girl to girl. Now people quote with like things they would say to a fellow girl. And it's been repetitive on my timeline. I kept seeing all these really interesting lines on there, and I'm like, this is interesting, this is good. So I kept bookmarking them, and so that I can reference to them later. And then that's when it hit me. Like I kept waking up, and each scroll I couldn't miss to see at least one quoted tweet that's really, really good, And that's when it hit me. I'm like, how about I come on here and share things like that, girl to girl. Now, please note that most of the pieces that I'm going to read out loud are really just screenshots that I got from this thread that felt very close to me, that I want to share with you guys. That if you're a young girl out there and you probably missed this thread, I want to share with you some of the most beautiful, most timely pieces of advice that I've picked from random strangers from God knows where, but that I think will actually have a very immense effect on you if you actually take them serious. I know there's a boy listening on here right now thinking, I'm like, oh, how about the boys? I know. I promise the next episode will be intentionally made for you. I will come up with a gentleman that I think will give you guys the best of advice, boy to boy, man to man, for you guys to do your thing in the best way possible. But today's episode is made specifically for the girls. So if you're a gentleman and listening to this, send it to your sister, to your friends, to your girlfriend, circle. The things on here are like really, really strong. Like, whew. And I don't want to go on making noise about it without actually getting right into it. So without any further ado, guys, please note that these are not in any particular order. So like the first one is like the most significant, or the last one is less important. They're all really, really solid, and I would love it if I could stay with you till the end of this episode. I'd also love to credit the creator, the author of the first suite who goes by Omotara Lawrence. She's the one who started the tweet that goes girl to girl, and I'd also love to credit the sources of the key messages that I took out, but I may not be able to. But I'll just go ahead and share their messages. One goes, as a woman, you can be anything and everything you want to be. You can have a career, a growing business, be a wife and a mother. Don't let anyone belittle your zeal and speak negativity into your purpose. Go shatter the ceiling. The sky is your starting point. Now, I thought this one was really, really great, but I just want to add that maybe just not at the same time. Like how we're all told in life generally, really, you can have it all, but just not at the same time. So same, I think, even for women or for anyone who wants to achieve everything that you want to be. Yes, it is possible, but just not at the same time. Secondly, this one goes girl to girl. Your body can switch on you anytime. One day you may just discover PCOS, endometriosis, etc. Do not be afraid. Get a good gynecologist, take your meds, eat healthy, work out, talk to people who care about you to avoid depression, and live life to the fullest. Now, let me start with what PCOS is, yeah? It's a set of symptoms caused by a problem with a woman's hormones, yeah? So PCOS is polycystic ovary syndrome, yeah? And I know I speak for a lot of women when I say these are things we probably endure or go through every other month, yeah? And when she mentions this, I'm like, this is nice that this now is normalized, because then you'd go through these things. Thank heavens for the internet. You'd go through these things and probably you'd think it's a big deal. When in actual sense, it's the default setting for every other woman around you, but maybe we're not just speaking up enough. So yeah, I think for any young woman or any woman really who's, growing up, it is important that this is something I've not done before as well. I don't think I've ventured into it that much to even maybe speak to a medical doctor about it, or, but yeah. So I guess the point here is, if you discover anything awkward or weird about you, health, in that sense, as a woman, it is okay for you to speak up. Like, it shouldn't be embarrassing or like, oh, am I abnormal, or, yeah. So I think that's why she emphasizes get a good gynecologist, take your meds, eat healthy, workout. I think workout is like really, really great, because now, me being a sportswoman, I think that has saved me a lot of issues that a lot of girls that don't work out do go through. Be kinder to your mom. She's just a girl too. I think I'd seen this around the timeline a while ago, and it reminded me of how a lot of times we're very quick to like judge our parents or even blame them for like a lot of things that are probably not going right. And when I saw it, I think it did make sense, because now I was looking at it in the sense of like, okay, it's the actual first time to be alive. Take, for example, today, 2024, 2nd of October, like it's their first time here, really. They're also just thugging it out and figuring it out one day at a time. And for me, that really just eased down a lot of like, if at all there was any baggage or anger that I had for my mom, it really just lightened my heart about things. I'm like, she did what she could with the best she had and the knowledge she had then when she did what she did. So I think this is just a reminder to all of us, even both mothers and fathers, or even for people who are like in a parental role, yeah. It's easier to judge or draw conclusions or jump to conclusions when you're outside looking into another person's life than what is actually happening in that person's life, especially with our parents. In this case, especially with your mother. Be kind to her. She's just a girl too. This one says, work, my baby, work. Turn your passion into your source of income. Never shrink yourself. Use salicylic acid to get rid of your acne. Use sea-salted rose water to get rid of sweaty or smelly armpits. Do little things that make you happy. Get ice cream. Have a shower. Go to a concert. I'm like, okay. No, this is have a shower concert. Oh, or like going to the shower and like, and sing. Interesting. I saw this and I'm like, okay, this is like an actual fully packed piece of advice, yeah, like from just work and then passion and then the skincare. I'm not the biggest fan of like skincare really, because I'm one believer that once you start, there is no going back. For some reason now your skin gets very vulnerable and sensitive to like all these skincare routines, and before you know it, you just can't do away with it. But what I usually like about now advice that's unsolicited this way is that it's not an ad. Someone is not trying to sell you something or to get you to buy a particular product or something, like, unless otherwise really. But I like how authentic it is. That means someone has actually bought it, tried it over time, used it, and it was great. So I think for me here, the take home is, for someone who is dealing with like a lot of acne lately, I don't know if it's the growth stage or not, but lately it just can't stop. It keeps going on every other week, even when my period is coming, when it's done, when it's ovulation time. Like, it just doesn't stop. So when I saw the salicylic acid, I went and Googled it. The sea salted rose water, that was a good idea as well for sweaty or smelly armpits for people or who may be dealing with something like that. Do little things that make you happy. I think now again this comes back to finding yourself, and I just want to add, I'm not sure if this comes up later, but I just want to highlight the part where you find yourself as a woman. Oh yeah, I think there is one that mentions this later, and I'll share then what I want to say first about doing little things that make you happy. But for you to be able to do that, you need to find out what actually does make you happy. No rich man is coming to save you. Learn about money, how to make it, how to save it, and how to grow it. This one is very, very good. I feel very, very stimulated to say so many things about this, because I have a friend. One time we were stuck in traffic sometime, and we sort of had a conversation around something like this, and how our generation of young girls, young women have been brainwashed to believe that if a man loves you, they should spend money on you. And now our conversation was about how that instead makes you very lame. Like, it's sort of like, it's like what the white people did when they came on here, colonized you, took away your own, roots of thinking about things or doing things your way, and now you're colonized, and you've lost who you really are and what you could possibly become, and now you're carried away with what these guys have come here. So same. We were having we had this theory where we thought that when a man shows up in your life and for some reason now picks up your hair, shoes, clothes, your shopping, like all these other needs that you may have as a girl, you, by default as a human being, you're going to sort of relax on the pressure that you had as a person to figure out ways on how to make money to afford the life that you want. So it sort of puts you like in a relaxed state, yeah? But mind you, now this is you, very young, like with like huge potential really to like think of a way to make money. Do I need to learn a skill? Do I need to go to school? If I'm done with school, I need to find a job. Do I need, like you'd possibly be thinking of all avenues to make money, more money to afford your rent, your bills. I'm not saying you're not supposed to get help, financial help from a man or whichever way you want to put it. I'm saying the whole idea of you sitting back and assuming that there is supposed to be a rich man coming to save you has to be the most brainwashing theory of our generation today, because I strongly believe it takes away your common sense to think of ways of how to make money and self-sustain as an individual. Over time, this man is providing for you, paying your rent, doing your hair, buying your clothes, your shopping, all this list of things. He's my man. If you're in a relationship, he's supposed to do, like, that whole entitlement over time weighs on them. Be audacious. Women are socialized to be compliant, agreeable, and risk-averse. But you must break free from this, because the path to greatness isn't paved with caution. It's built on audacity. So go after what you want with audacity and be unapologetic about it. I was thinking the other day, I'm like, there's a thin line between humility and I don't want to say boldness. Like, I'm very humble, but then I'm also very bold about it. Like, I'm not arrogant, but then also I'm not unaware of who I am. There's like really thin lines that put these things apart. And I don't know where they teach that, where you say, oh, I'm humble, but you're not going to, the Baganda say, kunyigira mutoke, like, I'm humble, but you're not going to step on my head. Also, I am very self-aware, I'm bold, I'll speak up, I have audacity, but I'm not arrogant. And I think a lot of times we are afraid to step into that power because you think people are going to say, oh, that chick is very arrogant, she's so full of herself. In situations that require you to now take, for example, chase your greatness and be who you want to be and, break glass ceilings, you need the audacity. That's why for me, this was like, yeah, it gave me goosebumps. I'm like, yeah, you must have some sort of audacity to do things, because the way she just said it, women are socialized to be compliant, agreeable, risk-averse. Like, you're supposed to, like, conform, because somehow it's it's in the bracket of your feminine energy. Women are supposed to be, some sort of, I don't know if it's some sort of like patting you down to like, okay, sort of like put you, like show up in news, but also don't over show up. Sit at the second, third chair. Don't sit in the front. And honestly, if you're a young woman, if you're a woman and you want to start storms and make a difference in this world for your name to be recognized everywhere, I totally agree with her. You have to have the audacity. The next one goes, there's always better love, better friends, better opportunities, better experiences, better jobs. You have to be willing to want better and go out looking for it and believing you'll get it. So don't stay in situations that don't serve you anymore. I don't know how best to supplement this, because I wouldn't necessarily say I'm like on the green side of this. I'm also still in spaces or where I know there is better, but I've probably just not found the guts, because it does require you to be brave, really, to say, okay, I'm with this person, or I'm at this job, I'm with friend X, but I know this friendship is not serving me. This does not feel right. But sometimes you're like, it's fine. I can stall longer, or I can. And what I've learned is usually you're delaying. You're kind of like holding back on the things that are meant for you out there. I've noticed that pattern, because the things that have happened to me later in life, and I'm like, if I was only brave enough to leave the first situation, who knows how soon and now this would have happened to me. So same for you. I hope you find the guts, the bravery, the confidence, the gut in you to believe that if you're in a situation you don't like, there is better for you out there. Because I for one strongly believe life has so much to offer us. Life has ridiculously so much to offer us. We just have to be brave enough to say, I want that, I'm gonna go out there and get it. Yep. The next one goes, you better start believing in yourself and seeing yourself as the prize. You better start realizing the full extent of your worth and value. Everyone keeps taking you for granted because they can see how much you take your own self for granted. Whew. Stop bending and breaking to please everyone. Stand up straight, head high, and command the respect you deserve. Wow. This one is sort of linked to the previous one, because for you to even start finding the bravery to walk away from situations that you feel like don't serve you right, you have to first realize that you're the actual prize. Like, I am great. I am cool. I am a good person. I am deserving. I am kind. I am, like for you to know that you're actually awesome, then you look at where you are and you're like, I actually don't deserve to be in this situation, and I don't see why I'm staying. Then that's when you're like finally tired of it, or you're like, this is not cool. Then even people start to like sort of like respect you. They're like, I cannot do that with Joanne. I cannot do that with so and so. So I think these two are like 5 and 6 really, for you to know that life has so much to offer you, and to understand that you deserve better starts from believing in yourself and seeing yourself as the actual prize. Invest in your looks. Style are deposits into the bank of your self-esteem. Prioritize it because it ensures you feel confident. When you don't like how you look, that point of view spreads into how you show up in other areas of your life, plus how you make decisions. This is very worthwhile, because I'll share my experience, because now me growing up, considering that I played basketball and then I sort of was a late bloomer, so I really didn't put much effort into my dressing in my early stages of my 20s. Really, I didn't have my body pop as most girls' bodies really do. So I was always in like shorts and t-shirts, sweatpants and t-shirts, or some huge baggy, I don't know. But now growing up, really, with like the internet and lifestyle creators and influencers and all these resources really. I find this very, very timely for young girls who are probably in that headspace as well, where you feel like you're either probably maybe too skinny, because for me that's how I felt really. Like, what's the whole point really of dressing up? Just throwing on a t-shirt and baggy jeans, and like no one will pay attention, and usually of course no one does. But now growing up, I do realize that with everything I want to become, I need to make a statement in the way I look, because even when you're settling with like, yeah, a t-shirt is fine and jeans, it sort of does creep into your self-esteem. You won't be as confident as the girl who showed up in a very tight fitting dress that probably brings out their body, like, not like in a seductive way, but like, you know how you dress for your body and it just makes your body, she looks good, she's a young woman, she's, as human beings we are visual, so people are more likely to listen to you more or pay more attention to you because of how you look. Of course, first impression, than you in a t-shirt and you baggy jeans and sneakers. And yeah, I know you get the point. Now, the next one goes, if you are looking for a partner to settle down and have a family with, you will never go wrong with a man who is kind and will go to work. Most of the other stuff you can work on. I'm like, okay, this I wouldn't say I'm best suited to add comments on this, but what I would say is, I hope you take it as home as it has come on here. I'll read it again one more time so it sticks. If you are looking for a partner to settle down and have a family with, you'll never go wrong with a man who is kind. Kindness goes a long way. I've seen lines of people saying how they treat their ex or how they treat you when they're no longer interested in you should tell you a lot. Like, I feel like kindness goes a long way away from just being attracted to someone, or like even the way people take for example a waitress or someone that can't give them anything, or a beggar on the street, or like an underprivileged person. This goes two ways, by the way, even just for men. For it's not even a gender thing, for men and women. Like, look out for how people treat people that are beneath them. It says a lot about the kind of partner you're going to end up with. So kindness goes a long way. And of course, being able to go to work, the hard work part where they're willing to put in the work to make a living, for both of you to have a stable life. Now this one is for the girlies that want to go back to school. Go for that master's degree. It's a solid investment in yourself and your future. Don't wait. Take the leap and live up now. I think this is self-explanatory as well. If you want to go back to school, I once saw a line that said, I want to go back to school, but by the time I'm done, I will be 45. And then someone said, whether you do or do not go back to school, you'll still wake up that age then. So just go anyways. So I hope if you want to go to school and can afford it, please go. The other one says, the routines you build early in life, especially before children, will save you. Fitness, nutrition, sleep, and savings. This is very, very true. Yeah, these are like really things we downplay. Like, you're thinking like, But now, I'll use fitness as an example. Considering that I play a load, when I go 3-4 days without like that intense exercise, I feel very fatigued. Like, I feel like I'm so restless. Like I really struggle, and now it's become part of me, and I can see how that has really become a significant part of my life and how it's helped my life. So same for you. These are things you may actually want to incorporate into your daily routine, considering that our bodies are just, I don't know, a mess. Like with the hormones now, when you add in the part where we give birth later at some point, like for you to be able to bounce back, I think you'll need to eat really well and exercise as much, and then sleep. That's a non-negotiable. You may want to rest. They say it helps with how you even your face looks like. Savings, that as well, I am still struggling with. It's not even a habit I've picked up yet that I would say, I am good at saving. But yeah, work in progress. And the beauty is that these things are reminders that we ought to get these things together. This one goes, red flags don't turn green. Be selfish with your body, pray, eat good food, dress nice, smell nice, be content, put yourself first, and of course have your own money. This one is repeated. I like it that more women are emphasizing it. But yeah, I just want to throw more light, I think, on the one that says be selfish with your body. Now, when I started, of course, growing up, like I said, I think I've mentioned this before, I've been a late bloomer. Like, a lot of things happened to me way later. So the time when I started embracing and loving and noticing things about my body, I fell in love with it so much that the whole idea really of our generation of just hooking up with random guy XYZ, to me started to feel very, I don't know, it's like how you have a dress or a shoe. Let me say a dress. A really nice dress. And then you have all these random friends saying, oh, I want to try on the dress. Can you help me with your dress for this party? And now, because you really love that dress, you start to like think, you're like, okay, because you're protective, you love it. You're like, are they even going to wash it well? Are they going to sweat in it? I don't know, will they use a bike or are they using a car, that dust, Because you actually love that dress, now you feel like giving it to different people starts to feel like it dilutes the whole essence of the beauty of your dress. So same for me. I noticed that I'm like, okay, now really, I am just losing pieces of myself by giving myself off to like A, B, C, D, really. And that's why that whole hookup culture of our generation really doesn't make sense. I feel like it just rips off parts of you in different people who are probably not even deserving. I mean, I get the whole liberalism that comes with that generation, but I think if you're conscious enough, you get to a point where now that starts to feel like it leaves you very, very empty. Yeah. What else can I throw more light on? Really, the smell nice part. Human beings are like we have senses. So even when you meet people, if you want to make a lasting impression or stand out, I think it's great if you feed onto all their senses. Like if you look great, the eyes are like, if you're dressing well, if you speak well, if you can, blah, blah, blah. But if you smell nice, you're now even appealing to their sense of smell. If you're not careful, you'd spend your entire life always trying to change something about your body and yourself. Know that there are industries that literally create insecurities for women so they can just profit off of it. Love the body gave you is designed for a reason. Now, this is a very sensitive matter. I don't know. I don't want to say for every woman, but I want to believe that we're really all the same. We all have a point of insecurity in our lives. It's either your teeth, your skin tone, your body shape, your height. It's always something. And if you're not careful, just the same way she starts her statement, that if you're not careful, you're going to spend your entire life trying to fix that. That's why we're seeing a lot of BBLs, we're seeing a lot of, I don't know, like there's a lot going on for women. And yeah, the ones that can afford it, pick it up and look incredibly great. But if you're like a normal, regular person like I am, I would advise you to work on your insecurities. Here's a theory that's worked for me, and I hope it works for you as well. So this is what I tell myself, because of course growing up I had all these insecurities. I was too small, too tall. Good. I had, and then I did struggle with like a skin thing when I was a child. So I grew up with like a bunch of scars all over my skin, which of course growing up eventually faded for some unknown reason. Which that's why I'm saying it's every girl has a thing. Probably some will or will not share, but we all have a thing. You're like, oh God, I wish I could do away with this. But here's the thing I tell myself. There is no way God created me to be this awesome, to be this kind and beautiful and intelligent, and would still make me with the perfect, I don't know, take for example teeth. Or I don't know, like then in there I insert what I am insecure about. So same for you. If you're, let's say you're all these things, and then you think maybe your neck is not long enough. So say there is no way God created me, person X, to be all these things and still have the beautiful neck. Like Katonda Tagabina, God doesn't give it all. And for me, that has like really comforted me. And I'm like, even the person I'm looking at and I'm admiring, I'm sure there is something they see about me and they're like, oh, I wish I was like Joanne. It's a never-ending cycle of like, I want the finest teeth, I'm going to get braces. And yet there is someone who has the finest teeth and they're looking at you and they're like, oh, I wish I had her long legs. And yet there is you who's like, oh God, I wish I had my skin tone looking like hers. And then there's the one with the perfect skin tone. She'll also say, oh, I wish I had, like it's a never-ending chain of like, I wish I had that. I wish I had this. And I'm like, I'm sure there's something they have that I don't have. Or I'm sure there's something they don't have that I have. And for some reason, it helps me sleep better at night. Oh, good. But really, it does help. I promise. The next one goes, it's about career growth. It says, have a clear vision, set goals, and be intentional. Find mentors, take risks, embrace challenges, and network. Build relationships, share knowledge, and stay visible in your industry. This is very, very heavy. I cannot stress it enough, guys. But if you're a career-oriented woman, it's important to have a clear vision of where you want to be, away from just really making money and like, oh, I have a job, it pays the bills, blah, blah, blah. I totally understand that some of us come from spaces that don't give us any other option apart from just making money and paying bills and going home. But if you want to be those women that start storms and like, oh, you walk into a room and everyone is like, who is that woman? You may want to have a clear vision of where you're headed and what you're doing and why you're doing it. The best place to start would be to find mentors. I've sung this song a million times. I have sung the song about my mentor and how he's elevated me to get to where I'm at today. You don't learn that in school. Your parents cannot give you that. You only find things like that in mentors. Take risks, embrace challenges. These are really self-explanatory. But if you're a career-oriented woman, build relationships around people in your field. Share knowledge, seek knowledge, and stay visible in your industry. Introduce yourself as a thought leader. Yeah. So on this, you can be like at, depending on whichever level you're at, from uni, junior level, whichever way you advance in your career, be visible. If it's at work and you're a project manager, make sure there's a project in your career one time that you do that just brands you like, whew, that was so and so, whew, that was like that is, if you want to be that woman, that is the way to go. This is a chaotic one. She even put a censorship prayer. She said, you may come for me for saying this, boo, but sometimes you could be the weapon fashioned against you. Unhealthy mindsets that you've internalized, unresolved trauma that you refuse to work to heal from, and toxic behaviors that you've normalized can only take you so far. Please commit time to becoming a better person, self-assess, be honest with you, do the work to unlearn, heal, and get better. You're not getting younger. Those excuses won't hold anymore. Please do better. This is I want to hug. Like this is very, very honest for a lot of us. We're at the end of the day, guys, we're all products of our environment. So it's either the mother who raised you, the father who raised you, your community. At some point, you really have to get out of your head on like all these ridiculous, unapplicable, unrealistic theories you've set up in your mind. And guys, as of today, it's crazy. There's like a lot of ridiculous takes that a lot of young women have that they speak, and I'm like, how are you comfortable thinking like this about life and still able to have the confidence to speak and say something like this in real life? Like, and I want to emphasize that today the internet is everywhere, and a lot of us have these shaped opinions of the internet, not knowing that in real life things are really different. Situation could ground in Dalanyo. These lines about, I'm going to use the most ridiculous one because I think that line puts me off the whole. Omusajja bw'aba akwagala kuteekemu ssente, omusajja bw'aba akwagala, like lwaki takusasulira renti, lwaki like those lines put me off like in the most disturbing way. Now I'm thinking, I'm like, really? Like, how much does he have to give you for you to actually believe he likes? Like, what's the price? Like, literally name a figure. There's one that I saw later that I'll share, which brings me to this point. But sometimes we do have a role to play in our own suffering. As a young woman, we keep saying we're the victims, we're like the ones on the receiving end. But there are women who have been in spaces like that and still manage to pull themselves up and make the best out of the resources that they have. You can't be the one whining about all these ridiculous standards, or like my point here is exactly her point. Unhealthy mindsets that you've internalized to think that, yeah, this is how my mother used to do it, this is how my singers did it, this is how things were, are only holding you back, because there are fellow women who are in same spaces or even worse spaces that are doing way better. So what's your excuse, really? I'm going to keep this one short and sweet, but it says, be financially independent. Wealth is not sexually transmitted. Whew. Drops mic. Oh, good. I'm going to move to the next one. This one goes, show grace to younger girls. You were once clueless, and even if you weren't, be a little kinder. It's okay to make mistakes. You're not in a competition with the next girl. If you can, fight for your female friendships. Don't let your ego get in the way. These are 3 solid points. I want to say something about the first one, showing grace to younger girls. I wouldn't say I have not experienced this, but I've been in spaces where I had expectations of women a bit older than me to be kinder to me, and they weren't. And I always wondered where that roots from. I don't know if I really don't know where it roots from, but there's a bunch of women who are just meaner to younger girls. Yeah. And I want to emphasize, just the same way she mentioned, how it is important. I mean, even if you're in that position then and probably handled it better, you have to understand that times are different right now. I cannot stress how close I feel to like women older than me who have been graceful to me, who have opened doors for me. Like there's a form of love I feel for them that I can't even express. Like it's very the word is, I think, representation. Representation matters so much when you see a woman you really look up to being very kind to you and like opening doors for you and showing you around gracefully. Like I want a hug, but it's really, really nice. Yeah. And I think that again comes from a point of security as a woman, for you to feel very in love with yourself and love yourself and embrace yourself, that you do not feel threatened by a younger girl probably being maybe smarter than you were at the time you were that age, which I think leads to a second point, which says you're not in competition with the next girl. Really, I don't know if by default we're all not wired to be in competition, but it's not a competition. Sometimes, if not all the time, no one is thinking about you like that. Like people are so consumed that they're probably thinking about how they look, how they feel, what they're gonna do, that it's never about you and your heels and your dress. Because I think for the time I've been around women, I've understood that the things that get us off are really not as big. It's just the dress, the shoe, the head, the toes, that you're like, does she think she's better than me? Like, I get it, jealous is like default human behavior. But it's in those moments for you to remind yourself that at the end of the day, you're really not in competition with anyone. There is enough space for us at the top as women to thrive in our several capabilities. Yeah. Female friendships, this is a delicate, sensitive one, really. I'm still navigating it, really. I don't know what I think I still had that whole perception of what friendships were in high school when we were kids. But now growing up, I'm really still navigating what that is and how it should go. I'll probably have a separate episode on female friendships, because I've seen so many people talk about nurturing your female friend groups, and I honestly, it's a thing I'm still struggling with to like understand how things work. But yeah, it's something to think about. If you have female friendships that you're struggling with, she says, if you can, fight for your female friendships. Don't let your ego get in the way. This one shakes my table, and I don't know how many of us, but it goes, it's not that you aren't good with money. It's just that no one has told you about it. And it's never too late to learn. You're at the perfect age to start. Guys, I struggle with financial literacy. I struggle with managing money and saving it but yeah, I think this is a good reminder that it's not that you are not good with it. It's just that no one has told you about it. So I guess it's time to learn about, if you're now making the money, how do you save it? How do you make it work for you? How do you multiply it? This one says, you and I both know that you're doing a lot and you're striving. It's just circumstance or environment that's making it look like you have nothing to show for it. So just take it one step at a time. Wow. This is really nice. Because, I saw a line the other day that said, you're doing great with what you have. It's just that just because you're not... what did it say? It said, you're doing the best with what you have without no shortcuts, without bribes or, I don't know. What were they saying? You're not running any shady back end deals really. You're doing this authentically, showing up every day tired, missing some days and showing up the next day. But you're doing great. And when I read this, it's sort of linked up. It's easy for us to be carried away now, social media times, to think that if to mean progress, that means you have to have big wins, deals, you're signing, promotions, big salaries, cars, houses, marriage. You're doing a great job. This is a reminder for you and me, for myself as well, that I'm doing a great job showing up every day, whether I am getting an award for it, an applaud for it or not. Just showing up is great. This one says, your dreams are valid. Decide on the life you want and go for it. The choice of a life partner can make or break you. It's really that important. Date before committing. Create a fine balance between investing and treating yourself. You need both. Again, make money. I think this one is the most repeated piece of advice. Make money. Make your own money. I think most of these are really self-explanatory. Maybe just to add on point 2, your choice of life partner. I think this goes for both men and women, really. The person you choose to spend the rest of your life with has the ability to make you or break you. I've seen how the quality of your life can really improve when you date the right person. My God, you for some reason gain weight, your cheeks grow bigger, you sleep better. Problems are not actual problems, it's just exciting to go through life with the right people. So I hope you don't give in to the pressure for society or from your family to be saying that, I have a wife, I have a husband, and end up choosing the wrong person. The next one says, if you always feel sharp and constant pain and worse during sex or monthly flow, go for a scan to be sure it's not an ovarian cyst. Get your HPV vaccine. Invest in probiotics. Exfoliating your bikini area and keeping it dry will eliminate sweaty smell. This is about health, guys, and it's very, very important. I think there was one that had mentioned something about seeing a medic or a gynecologist or something. I think there are things that are normal, like maybe cramps, but if they're severe, I don't think that's normal. I don't have any expert medical advice, but I don't think cramps should be that painful where you really fall sick and can't get out of bed. You should try to see a gynecologist and find out why they're that intense. I'll just repeat what you said here. If you always feel sharp and constant pain or worse, during sex or after, and then the monthly flow, if there is anything weird that I don't think is supposed to be that painful, please go see a doctor. I don't think there's anything normal about that. Your health is very, very important, and I think the earlier you can find out the root cause of these things, the better. Now, this is one of my favorites. It goes, hey beautiful, I need you to first discover yourself, purpose, and all. Only then will you be able to rightly filter who deserves to be in your life or not. One more thing I want you to do for me, be very ruthless about your choice and preferences. Wow. This sounds very big sisterly or very, very motherly, but yeah, very big sisterly. The part where I was mentioning something about finding yourself, yeah. I think I've seen TikToks, I've seen there's one I think that went viral last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago. I was talking about women in their 30s who are living alone and have money and a lovely house and lovely food. Like, guys, times have changed. It was back then that our parents would probably not even finish school. Like in the 90s, 80s, really 60s, 70s, they wouldn't finish school. And next thing you know, they're married off. And before they even, like, you jump right out of your parents' house to a man's house. You do not know your favorite color, really. You do not know if you prefer a pink dress and red shoes, or you're just told, wear a long dress and heels. Or don't wear heels because you'll be taller than your husband. Guys, I cannot stress how important it is for you as a woman to find yourself. Like I know this cuts across generally for like even people in your careers and like who you want to be as a man or a woman. But for women, with the way society rolls out its stuff about motherhood and if you do not take the space to find who you are as a woman, I think in today's era you are doomed. Yeah, and I think that's why she says, I need you to discover yourself first and your purpose. What do you want to do with your life? Because like I usually like to say, the motherhood part is a given. You don't go to school to learn how to become a mother. It's default setting. You know, you play with dolls as a child while your brothers play with toys and cars and all. So if you do not take the time, it's either a career or a passion project, or you like to travel, or there has to be something that comes to you. And I believe that strongly because I am a believer that God called each one of us to do something with their lives, to make a difference in the world. So I hope you find that, because at the end of the day, we've seen enough sad stories, enough bad endings of marriages that people went into early, and sadly, because men eventually find themselves, that's sad. I've been making jokes about how men's lives are like cats. Like a man can have 10 lives. Like he can be who he is from 20 to 25. He's one version of a man. He is a different version of a man from 26 to 31. From 31 to 36 is a different man. From 36 to 45 or wherever, he is a different man. For women, we don't have that privilege. We really don't. Like, and once the motherhood beat kicks in, you'd have to work 10 times as hard to bounce back and do the work and finding yourself and still be a mom. So I would recommend that you take the time between your career, by the time you probably finish school, to the time you decide that, yeah, this is it, this is who I am, along with this that I want to start a family. I am saying this because I've seen it with my sisters. I watched enough movies. I've picked up a lot of information around this, and I totally agree with this lovely woman when she says, I need you to first discover yourself and your purpose. For a girl that lives in her comfort zone a lot, this really spoke to me, because she says, don't wait for the perfect moment. Take the roles, apply for the opportunities, and push yourself beyond your comfort zone. Growth comes when you say yes to new challenges, even when you feel unsure. This cuts across really, when you're scared the most, that's when you should jump. And it sounds cliche, but you have to put this line at the back of your mind each time you're afraid, to remind yourself to jump. And it's not always the easiest thing to do, but if you really want to grow, you can pace around that decision, but at some point you have to jump. You have to let go of the fear of the unknown and just be like, you know what? What's the worst that could happen, right? This one says, get a job, personality, and hobby, so that when you see a tweet for girls to give girls advice, you won't come and make it about me. And okay, I thought this was a bit contradictory. In my head, I'm like, can you just come and make another tweet about and not bring it here? But yeah, I think the other side that it gave me was, I've seen a TikTok of girls on dates, and the friend you always sit with when you hang out, you're like, hi, how are you? Oh, the other, today work was fine. And this chick goes all about, the friend is always talking about me, and this other chick always leaves Like I think for women at some point really have to dissent a man from our conversations, because when boys hang out, I don't want to say I know, but I'm sure they talk about cars, or of course women, of course, come in somewhere. They'll probably talk about cars and land and soccer, and these are the things that occupy them. Unlike us, who are always whining and overreading into a guy. But did you see his text? I think her point here is to dissent our men from our lives. There is a wave of I don't know if it's I don't know how best to explain it, but where we center every decision we make. I'm gonna wear this dress. Will I look good for him? Like, you're trying to prove a point to the male gender when in actual sense they really don't care like that. And I think the best way for you to draw the right man for you is to be authentically yourself and stay away from trying to please them. So be your awkward, silly self, and yeah, the right ones will stick. That right there is the best way to dissent at men from your life, your conversations, and your thoughts. This one says, nothing wrong with physically complimenting another girl. Make it an absolute point of duty. Ooh, this is really nice. I must say, I closely remember every other girl who has. Not like I've had many, really. I've had very few. That's why I'm able to remember each one of them. But I vividly remember the girls that have told me, "Oh, you're very pretty." Those go a long way. So if you see a pretty girl today somewhere and you think she has pretty eyes, beautiful lips, long legs, whichever you like about her, no homo really, just let her know, like, oh, I think you have, in a respectful manner. I think they go a long way, like in like making you feel really good about yourself. So like I say, there's enough space for us all at the top to thrive. The next one says, do the work. Go to therapy, build a relationship with God, walk more, get your body moving, and in the sun a bit more. Life is hard, but you're making it harder by replaying all the things that have hurt you over and over again. Forgive yourself, forgive others, let go, and heal. I think this is really deep. I think it was coming probably from a personal experience, or a close personal experience. Really doesn't necessarily even have to be her. But I think when people share like this, it's usually something they've gone through bits and now they're telling you the same, in case you're going through the same thing. So I'm just going to read it one more time slowly. I don't think there's anything more I can add, but just slowly so that you get it. She says, do the work. Go to therapy, build a relationship with God, walk more, get your body moving, and in the sun a bit more. Life is hard, but you're already making it harder by replaying all the things that have hurt you over and over again. Forgive yourself, forgive others, let go and heal. This sounds like someone who probably has struggled with like maybe abuse or heartbreak or trauma, and I know these are not foreign concepts for a lot of girls. You're probably in a toxic relationship, or maybe you were a victim of some unfortunate circumstances like rape, or like whatever grievous thing might have happened to you in the past. I think forgive yourself and forgive them too, and pray and heal. This one says accountability. At some point, you're going to have to do a self-introspection and account to your poor decisions without blaming men. I promise you, once you have that level of honest conversations with yourself, you start making better decisions, but it all starts with accountability. This is sort of linked to a point someone shared earlier, yeah? Like times have really changed, guys, but there are several conversations I've seen on the internet or even listened to where you legit notice that we are avoiding the blame. We are avoiding the part we play in whichever situation is at hand that's causing you some sort of suffering or tormenting. So I think if you're trying to grow and evolve and become a better version of yourself, I think acknowledge the role you play in the suffering that you're in right now. Is it your decision making? Is it your judgment? Is it you being rational? Are you more loyal to your feelings than thinking through situations, or like accountability? Yeah, take up the responsibility that you play in the suffering that's happening in your life. Guys, there's one that I read earlier that was saying something about no rich man is coming to save you. Someone quoted it with a very interesting line that says, happy that people are finally realizing these snag high value man influencers were just coaching the impressionable to be escorts. I like this, because the whole idea of a man showing up in your life and just throwing money at you, unless it's like a, I don't know, Elon Musk type of rich. I don't think Elon Musk wants to marry a broke woman who wants money for their hair. But I'm assuming if I'm to bring it down to like a normal, typical Kampala regular dude who is making his decent money, I don't think he's making his hard-earned money to come and throw it at you like that. If he is, then he has other intentions. And if you want to keep that man's respect, I think it's best you figure out ways on how to either multiply the money he's giving you or making your own money so that he's supplementing your life. So the whole, if he loves you, he's supposed to spend money on you. Basically, what you're saying is there is a price to who gets to speak to you in regards to money, really. So that's why this chick says, happy that people are finally realizing these, I quote, snag high-value man influencers were just coaching the impressionable to be escorts, because basically that's what, take me shopping, a trip to Dubai. But really, a young man in his 30s is basically just figuring out his life, buying the land, the cars, whichever, and for some reason you want him to throw money around to impress you because you have a big bum and big boobs. And guys, make it make sense. Like, let's not be brainwashed enough or too delusional to read through these lines. Like, really. This one says, go deeper in your relationship with God. He knows the perfect version of the woman he's called you to be. The only way to become that woman is by growing in your relationship with God and seeking Him above all else. This is very close to me. Or it should be as well if you're someone trying to find who you want to be. You're thinking this, you're thinking that. I think there isn't a clear affirmation of places and spaces where you're meant to be than when you get that affirmation from God, when it feels right, when it feels like it's giving Him glory. Those are the right spaces you're supposed to be in. This one says, he might be the one, but you have to give it to God and let Him decide. Don't make Him an idol in your heart. If it's meant to be, it shall be. I think this talks about the men we're in love with. He might be the one. Yeah, he's doing all the right things. He ticks all the boxes. It's safe, it's healthy, it's making you glow, it does not stress you. I think don't idolize him. I used to do this. It's embarrassing. I used to do this with my mentor when I just met him. My God. Ho, ho, ho. And then when I grew up and I met someone, we all have to agree that there's points where we really just idolize them and you're like, oh my God, what can I do without you? Like, when you actually mean it, but then you do realize at the end of the day, it's all good that they're in your life, that they're that much of a blessing to you. So God above all else. Guys, there is so much we could all share with each other as young women, really, to help each other really thrive, do better, get by. But I just want to emphasize something, that as you go along your journey of growth and evolving and reshaping and remodeling into the kind of woman you aspire to be, I hope you actually find what works for you. There is so much that's been shared on here, on that thread as well, and there's, of course, as you go on, you're going to pick different pieces of information and advice from different women. But I saw a video, and this lady was saying that I hope young women are realistic with where they are at a particular point in life, because there is so much information on the internet. Everyone is telling you this, everyone is telling you that. The women who are selling this idea, or even truly, honestly sharing this whole high profile, high value, lavish, beautiful life. And most of us really usually get carried away and we don't understand that for starters, these people are like in a different part of the world. They're probably older, or they're like your two lives are totally different, that there is no way that can be possible for you. And when she shared that, I thought that would be a great line for me to add on here for you guys, that if you don't have an actual solid physical community of people who you can talk to, since now the internet is doing that for us, I hope as you connect and network online, I hope you are able to tell the difference in where you are and the people you are choosing to admire online. Yeah, ages are different, demographics are different, like a lot of things are just different, and some of these things you may just not have walked the path yet to arrive at that point to resonate with the life a person is setting online. So same with this advice I'm sharing here as well. At the end of the day, work with what you can work with in your space, really. Like what may apply to me may not be the same thing that will apply to you. So I hope as you go along, I hope you wear the shoes that fit. The ones that don't fit, you don't have to force it on. As I wrap up, this has been a very worthwhile episode, really, for me to just share with you guys my experiences and thoughts from what these lovely ladies shared on the internet. Don't you just love the internet? I mean, we are picking knowledge from people across the world that we've even never met, and it's still able to help us in our lives one way or the other. So I hope as they are up, I hope you picked a thing or two to get you through. And I think that's the beauty of this podcast, that it gives us a platform for us to share and learn from each other and each other's experiences, really. But one thing on my mind before I go, Katali Keka, is conversations around women empowerment really need to change from the way we are used to things traditionally. Times have changed, generations are different, and I think as the next generation of women who are going to start a storm, women who are going to walk into rooms and everyone stands to look at us, I think we really need to work on our mindset about life. We need to get out of the whole someone is coming to save me energy, because if we are saying we want a seat at the table, I don't think we're going to get that seat at the table by just, because I am pretty or because I have a beautiful body. Like we need to beat the usual. You have to be 10 times as smart for you to be just as smart as the people on the table. And I hope we know what that requires of each one of us. The work we need to put in, the discipline, the etiquette for us to not just be a pretty face. And I think for me, that's the kind of mindset I keep in my mind whenever I'm like trying to like get ahead or like show up and compete for opportunities elsewhere. I just don't want to be the girl with a pretty face, or I want to, like, I'm lucky enough, I am blessed enough that I have the face card. I want that when I open my mouth, you like, oh yeah, now it all adds up. Because I think I've said this before in like my very, very first YouTube videos, that I'll use Kampala as a case study. When you go to, take for example, one restaurant in Kampala on a Saturday, I guarantee you that 90% of the women in that restaurant will be very beautiful, stunning women. Like it is crazy, like how many beautiful women are in this world. And for me now, my biggest worry was like, how do you stand out as a young woman? Like, how do you make a difference? How do you stand out to not just be a fine face, beautiful lips, beautiful nose, beautiful long legs, beautiful, like there has to be something about you away from the given ones. Like, like how you go to how you go to, like, there isn't anything special about you. And for me, I think the only way you earn that special something about yourself is if you work on yourself constantly, really, to improve and be better, get your grades straight in school, be kind to people, love God. And honestly, when you look at successful women, you'll be shocked that, actually you won't be shocked. You'll see why they are those phenomenal women because they're beautiful, they're intelligent, they're kind, they're feminine, they speak up, they're not arrogant, but they're bold. Like, the work to do really is endless. So I hope this episode reminds you to shift your perspective about your role and, again, what you are supposed to do, and at the same time to step into the power that God called you to be. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.